Did you know the Friends of Hope is an initiative of Hope Media? Through this initiative, we are able to partner with others who are keen to ensure that we keep hope alive. Through your support, we are sharing the hope we have with many others who are yet to embrace hope. You too can become a part of this initiative today. Send your contribution of any amount to M-Pesa paybill number 933933. Account name Friends of Hope. For more information regarding Friends of Hope, please email friendsofhope@hopefm.org or SMS FOH to 20933. Join Friends of Hope today. Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive. Another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries.
And it's a beautiful Monday morning, a blessed day to you, a blessed week ahead as you join us for the Leadership Forum with Bishop of Christ is the Answer Ministries already with us, Bishop David Oginde. And I see Maureen Abonza already, you've been waiting and saying, I'm eagerly waiting to learn more from the Bishop and I desire to be a good leader. God bless you too, Maureen, and happy to know that you are eagerly waiting. Today, I want to start by apologizing. We're just a little bit late, but that's because Bishop was in some important meeting. Bishop, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Is that meeting you're coming from something you would want to share with us? Should we know something about that meeting?
Yes and no. Yes, because it is a meeting that we are basically deliberating on the ongoings in the nation, matters to do with elections that seem to have started rather early. It's 2 years before we are into our official election period. But one would imagine that elections are taking place this December. So that's a matter of concern. Of particular concern is the issue of hatred that is building up. We saw what happened in Murang'a yesterday, where people lost their lives as a result of political clashes. And if we can start this early, one can imagine what is likely to happen when the actual elections take place. And so this is something that Kenyans should not allow to continue. We should, particularly as the religious community, the church in particular, we should not allow our places of worship to be the places of bloodshed. And as Christian leaders, I would like to appeal to us to take charge of our worship places and take charge of those people who come to worship with us or to support us in any way. The government really needs to ensure that we do not get into this ugly kind of scene. So we are very concerned that whatever happened yesterday was unacceptable. Whoever are the instigators, we do not know who they are, but it is not right. Leadership comes from God. Leadership is given by God. Leadership cannot be got through bloodshed. Jesus already shed his blood for us. We cannot sacrifice the lives of Kenyans for the sake of seeking a leadership of whatever kind. So that was very unfortunate, and part of our meeting this morning was dealing with that issue. How do we de-escalate the tension that is rising within the country? Of course, the second thing is the whole issue of corruption. The fact that we talk a lot about corruption, but we are seeing very little progress in that area. So again, we are just asking that actual steps be taken to try and contain this monster called corruption. We have worked together as a community, as a nation, and we have contained the spread of corona because there was a concerted effort. We were willing to shut down our economy. We were willing to shut down our places of worship. We were willing to stay at home and lose billions of shillings in terms of our economy so that this virus does not have ravage us. And we succeeded. Why can't we do the same with corruption? Why can't we shut the nation and say we are not going to go to work until we deal with this matter? I think if we take a similar kind of seriousness and sanitize ourselves and mask ourselves against corruption, it can be dealt with, it can be defeated. But we have allowed it to become a culture. We have allowed it to be part and parcel of how we do business. And so it rages on. And the level of impact that corruption is having in this country is far worse than what corona has done to us. So those are issues that we need to look at, and those are issues that as a community in Kenya, we need to stand firm against if we are going to survive the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Bishop, for sharing with us. So analyzing, so I hear a great analysis of what is happening. I'm curious, did the very meeting we are talking about that you were in this morning, did they come up with some, let's say, recommendations, let's say something that I can take home as a Kenyan, something that others who are not in that meeting but are also very concerned can spread around them where they are? Were there some recommendations or some way forwards?
Basically, what I have said is that this is going to take a concerted effort, and the Kenyans have to appreciate that what is going on, whether at the electoral scene, that we have to refuse to be used by politicians for their own personal gains. So that as an individual Kenyan, you must refuse, if you are being mobilized to rise up against your own brother or your own sister, simply because of politics, you have to refuse. You have to say, no, I'm not going to participate in that. And that is the way we can defeat this thing. So, but as long as we are willing to be mobilized, as long as we are willing to take sides in this political debate, then we are going to be the losers. The people who died yesterday were not politicians. They were ordinary Kenyans. The people who are injured in that incident were not politicians. They go back and the next day they are in another scene. They are at another site. It is Kenyans who die. So we as Kenyans need to refuse and reject politics of hate. Now the tempo has been raised even higher. Now it is not just ethnic, it is now class, where we are now being pitted in terms of class. That is a very serious narrative, definitely. So again, it is us who can refuse it. It is us who can refuse. Ordinary Kenyans. There's no one who is going to help us. And we are the ones who are going to die. Examples are drawn from across the world. I think we have a very close example in Rwanda, which is just our neighbor here. Millions of people died. Millions of people died. So how can we stop that from happening? 2008, 2007, hundreds of people died. But it is us who are being used by politicians. The politicians who killed us are continuing. they are moving on with their agenda. So we want to appeal to Kenyans, and as a religious leader, as a Christian leader, I want to particularly appeal to our church leaders. Let us be sober. Let us be vigilant. Let us not allow our places of worship to be used by politicians while we watch. Politicians are part of our community, and we cannot stop them from coming to our churches. I think I've said this before. But when a politician comes to my church and I am the pastor or I'm the bishop, I take charge of that situation. I determine what they can do and what they will not do. I determine what they can say and what they cannot say. I cannot sit there helpless as if I have no powers. So if a politician were to come to my church, our church, and I'm the pastor, and I realize that they are beginning to talk in a way that could stir up emotional hatred among the congregants and Kenyans in general, I have the right to stand up and say, Mheshimiwa, with all due respect, we cannot allow that kind of language in this space. That will bring control, because unfortunately, churches are now being used as the political platforms, and this is going to get worse as time goes by.
Thank you. Thank you, Bishop. It's a call to the leadership in church, and it's also a call to the common mwananchi that you have made. Thank you. Thank you, Bishop. Yes. Today, last time we really talked until we didn't do too much from where we had left it the other time. So I think I want to, before I get to interact with our listeners and to get us talking about maybe current issues, I want to take us back to class, perhaps, and get us back to the transformational leader. That's where we left it last time. We talked about the transactional leader, and you were just beginning about the transformational leader who combines tasks, accomplishments, and people so as to transform both organization and as well as the people. Could you pick it up, and then we will interact with you some more as we get going.
Thank you. Actually, even the things that we are talking about are part of leadership and transformational leadership. Like I've just talked about us as church leaders, and I say specifically church because you rarely see this in mosques. You rarely see this in temples.
Amazing.
Why is it that we as Christian leaders so easily get swayed by politics? Why is it that we as Christian leaders sit there and watch in pantomime? We don't see politicians using the platform of a mosque to propagate their agenda. We don't see it. Why are we allowing this to happen? Is it that we do not respect and honor our God? I think there's something that is missing somewhere, and we need to go back to it. And this will require transformational leadership. Like I said last time, transformational leadership is difficult compared to other forms of leadership because it is something that you have to choose to do. It is not natural. It is not situational. Situational leadership, you respond to a situation and you act according to what the situation calls for. Trait leadership, you lead according to who you are and what talents and gifts and abilities you are born with. But transformational leadership is a matter of choice. You decide, this is what I'm going to do in order to transform the environment within which I find myself. So if we go back to the same topic we are talking about, as a transformational church leader, I then look at a situation that I find myself and I say, no, I'm going to transform this situation from the ugliness of it to something that is beneficial to the people. And so that is what makes transformational leadership slightly different and more difficult for people to practice. So many people talk about transformational leadership, but few people actually practice it because it doesn't come naturally. So Gregory Barnes, who actually came up with this concept, says that transformational leadership is an engagement in which the purposes of the leader and the led come together, get fused together, then resulting in a mutual transformation. So there are three things that get transformed when a transformational leader engages. The leader gets transformed, the led or the follower gets transformed, and the organization or situation gets transformed. So the people, those three components, if I would say, of leadership gets transformed in the process. So there's a mutual benefit that comes out of transformational leadership. It is not just the leader who is benefiting, but also the member is benefiting and the organization is benefiting. This means that the transformational leader must be a dreamer who creates a strategic vision, communicates it, and models it, so that what the vision here is that this vision can be long-term, this vision can be short-term. Again, because we started on this discussion about church and politics, let me use it again. My vision for my congregation, what do I want to achieve? What do I want to see within my worship environment? That will determine how I manage that space. That will determine what I do in that space. That will determine who can participate and engage in that space. So because I have this vision, this thing that I want to see happen, because vision is something that you see, and it can be as short as a service. By the end of this service, this is what I want to see happen. That is a vision for your service. But it can be long-term vision as in another 10 years, this is where I want to see our church be or become or achieve. So it can be a very short-term vision within just the space of the service itself. And if I have that short-term vision of saying, as I'm praying to the Lord for this Sunday, this is what I see happening. And I can tell you there are many times I actually do that as I prepare as a pastor, especially when I was a pastor of a congregation, every Sunday, I visualize that by the end of the service, this is what will happen. And it's amazing that when you combine that vision and it is empowered by the Holy Spirit, especially in a church engagement, God honors that. I have seen it happen over and over again. I was telling people, by the time I stand to preach a sermon, in most cases, I know when people are going to get saved, and I know even sometimes how many, what extent. Because I have prayed about it, I have visualized it in my mind. And so even if I make an altar call and people are not responding in the first instance, I'll hang on there because I saw it.
And you're not calling it a word of knowledge, Bishop.
No,
you're calling it a vision.
It's a vision. It's something that I prayed about, I am trusting God for, and I have conviction in my spirit that is going to happen. That's what transformational leadership is all about. You have a conviction, and we are going to get to that in a while. So okay. You are looking at the service, and you are saying, this is what I am trusting God for. By the end of this service today, This is what I'm trusting God for. So if I'm trusting God for 10 people to come to Christ, and I have this conviction in my spirit that 10 people are going to come to Christ, and I preach my message the way I believe God has led me to, and I make an altar call and nobody is responding, I will hang on in there because we have agreed with God. And many times it happens. It happens. But there are times when I actually am not expecting any salvations. I'm just using salvation as one of them. I'm not. It is not my vision for that day. That day, I just want people to go back with the message I'm giving them, to go and reflect over it. And in those cases, sometimes I don't even make an altar call because that was not my plan for that day. Once in a while, I get led to ask, but I don't insist on it. I just say, if there's somebody who, the Lord is speaking to you and you want to make a commitment to Jesus Christ, please put up your hand. And sometimes a few people put up their hands, and I'm satisfied with those few people.
You hadn't seen many.
I was not expecting any. So I'm happy that the Lord has given us a bonus for that day. But the focus of my ministry of that day was not salvation of people. The focus of my ministry of that day was something else. Maybe it was a teaching that I just wanted. Because sometimes I tell pastors that sometimes we can be distracted by altar calls. Sometimes I maybe I'm speaking a message that I want people to go away and think it's supposed to be a transformative agenda. And when I make an altar call on that, people somehow think that the journey is over. So now they can leave church and just go and live their lives the way they came. So the altar call becomes like a closure of that journey. And I don't want this to be closed in church. And so I want to make an altar call. I would allow people to go and grapple with the issues that we have discussed and allow the Holy Spirit to continue speaking to them. In fact, when some people come and say, that was so powerful, you should have called for prayer, I say, no, I don't want to pray for anybody. Because sometimes people think once I've prayed for them, it is over. Now I can go back and live my own life. But I digress. So I'm talking about vision that a leader has, that then creates that transformative agenda that they engage with, both for the organization and for the individuals that they lead. So transformational leadership is very deliberate. It is active. It is not something that is passive, that just happens, and I just happen to be a transformational leader. So transformational leaders, therefore, must dream. You have to dream as to where you want to take your people, where you want to take your organization. What kind of future do you see? And as I said, this future can be a very immediate 1 hour future. It can be a 10-year, 50-year future. Whichever way you dream it, you think about it, you prepare for it. And I think possibly because of my training in architecture, that is one of the things we were taught to do, because architects are dreamers. You dream up this building, which is not, and make it be. And usually by the time you are through with it, you have lived in it, you have walked around it, you have slept in every bedroom if it's a residential house, you have sat in every office if it's an office block, you have walked around, you have put on the switches, you have showered in it. So, and all this in your mind, it's not real, it's not yet built. By the time it is being built, you are simply seeing the realization of your dream. And that is what transformational leadership should be. That you dream and go through your organization. You look into the 50 years ahead, or the 20 years ahead, or the 10 years ahead, and live in that future. See how it is happening. Experience it, so that by the time you now begin to implement it, you are simply realizing the dream that you had. Sometimes you get disappointed, just like in buildings, you dreamt this, but when it is built, you look at it and say, no, this is not what I thought. And so you make adjustments and changes here and there. It is the same in leadership, in organizations. You can be having this powerful dream that you want to realize, but when it comes to reality, you realize, no, that this is not quite what we had in mind. But that dreaming is absolutely important.
Wow. What would go wrong in a leader's vision so that on the ground it doesn't become quite what they had? The way you're talking about a building, and finally you're saying, no, this is not it. What would go wrong? What would, in broadcasting, perhaps you would be talking about there was noise between the person who spoke and the person who received the message. In vision how do I say it? In a vision becoming reality, what would that noise, if I use that language, look like?
The noise, to use your word, would be either at the point of dreaming.
The dreamer's noise. Okay.
You could be idealistic in your dreams. So that the things that you are thinking could happen are actually not realistic. So that by the time now you get to implementing, you find that this cannot work. And that happens, if I use again architecture, you could have dreamt and designed this beautiful building, but when now you come to implementing, you find some things are just not practical. They cannot be done. They cannot be built. Or if they have to be, it is too expensive. And so you just have to adjust your design so that it is more practical, it meets the needs that are required of it, or it is within the cost that is implementable. So those are realities, and that's a fact for any person. The fact that you dreamt does not necessarily mean that those dreams will come exactly as you did. The Bible, if we take the biblical perspective, the Bible says that we plan, man plans.
Yes.
But it is God who makes it come to pass. So sometimes we plan and we dream and we visualize how things should be. But unless God is with you, you may find that the builders labor in vain. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I wanted to know, do I get you to respond to a few comments that we have, and then we continue?
Okay.
It does seem this thing in Moranga is on the minds of very many of our people, and what a church can allow politicians to do, and all of that. So Leonidas Chijioke says the line must be drawn, and politicians must be made to understand that the church with Jesus Christ, Son of the living God, I think the church that he purchased with his precious blood is not a place of merchandise or political rallies. Jesus Christ himself drew the line in Matthew chapter 21, and the church leaders must play their part without fear or favor. S. Pilar says, praise God, I have seen churches turning into political grounds members fighting even over property, and leaders fighting over titles and without succession plans, and says it's a great shame. Catherine says, Bishop, that's Catherine Cabal, where are the fathers of faith so as to speak? We need a voice to speak and align the church to its mandate on earth, and it is not what we saw and are seeing on Sunday. Then she says, EAK, speak. When EAK is asked to speak, isn't that you, Bishop? Isn't that you who should speak on behalf
I am
of
speaking
EAK?
right now. That's how
You
you
have
had.
spoken. You are speaking indeed. And Steve Makaunzive says, thank you for this forum, Bishop. Very sad the happenings of yesterday, and especially in the church. Sarah saying the politicians should not be allowed to talk in church, period. That one, no discussion, period. And Anne says, how can we begin sharing with church leaders to stop allowing politics to take place, I think you wanted to say, in the church. And I think maybe today's conversation already begins to do that. Gordon Juma saying, Bishop, are really, word for word now, Bishop, are really politicians leaders? As for the things we see happening now, and it has now ended up with such politics in churches. And why are leaders elected? To represent the people or for their own family benefits? And Gordon Juma says, please discuss. It came in as a comment, and he says, please discuss. The way a teacher does. Joske says Reverend Munene Jotham told us that we should return to God. And Jeff Arumba saying, glad to be here. And it is so dangerous to turn church services into political hubs. Many comments. It does seem to me this thing was heavy on our minds. It was heavy.
Yes, and it's good that it is heavy. And thanks to all our listeners for their comments and their observations. I agree that there are three levels that I see our people concerned about, particularly with the church. There are those people they are calling church fathers, whoever that is, and they are saying they should speak. That is true. Whoever those people are, let them speak.
Bishop, it is you.
I'm not sure I'm a church father.
It is the likes of you, I think.
Then there are those people who are leaders of specific congregations and denominations. I think that we have spoken to. Okay. We have spoken to that we as leaders need to take charge of our congregation. God has given us a mandate in that space.
Yes, he has.
Within CITAM, God has given me a mandate to lead and to guide his people within the space of CITAM as Bishop of CITAM. And so I have God's authority and mandate to determine what happens within CITAM and what does not. That there is no one else who can help me with it. So if I allow politicians or any other people to use the space that God has given me for any form of wickedness, I am responsible to God for that. I don't need Archbishop Sapit to come and tell me that. I don't need a church father to come and tell me that. That the Father, God the Father, the owner of the church, has given me that mandate as Bishop of CITAM. And so I have every responsibility to ensure that what happens within CITAM glorifies his name. I don't need a church father. I don't need any other person. I have God the Father. And with that authority, I can determine what a politician says on my platform, does in our compound, and all that. That is our mandate. We don't need another person. As members of the church, if as a bishop of CITAM, I do not play my role that God has given me, members of CITAM have the responsibility to call me to account and say, Bishop, what you allowed to happen in church today was not right.
Wow.
It is an embarrassment to the kingdom of God. So as members of...
Yes, can we just can we just hang it there on that very interesting point about how the member can also call you to account or call you out, like they say, when you've done the wrong thing. Let's just hang it there. Get the news highlights at midday if you're listening to us on Hope FM radio, and we will be coming back after a very short break. This is the Leadership Forum on Hope FM. We are also on Facebook. We are also on Instagram and also on YouTube. And glad that you're listening and you're watching from wherever you are. Keep the comments coming also on our SMS line 20933.
Please remember that all our assemblies are open for in-person worship services. However, if you wish to attend, you will have to register in advance to book a seat. You can do so by using the USSD code *304*933# for Safaricom users and follow the instructions to receive a seat confirmed for the service you chose to attend. If you are not a Safaricom user, you can use the church website www.sitam.org to register. God bless you.
Notice is hereby given that following the setting aside of the 10th of October 2020 as the National Day of Prayer, the annual Delegates Conference ADC for Christ is the Answer Ministries, earlier scheduled to be held on the 10th of October 2020, has been rescheduled and shall now be held on the 17th of October 2020. Please take notice that the ADC shall be held on the 17th of October 2020, virtually through a Zoom link to be provided to the delegates before the said dates. All other details remain as earlier communicated in the notice issued on the 18th of September 2020. Thank you and God bless you.
Welcome back as we continue with our session. Bishop of Christ is the Answer Ministries with us for the Leadership Forum, which is something that we do every Monday. We talk about leaders and we talk about followers. And Bishop, thank you for already we've learned so much. And Wandia Mushiri is saying politicians are welcome to church for worship, but not for politics. Julius Makoha just wrote to say that we are all looking smart. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Watching from Yaya is Julius Mukoha, and Tosh says, I lose what you had said there, Tosh. You're following, and thank you for that. Judith Ouma, I've always wondered, she says, why the politicians don't come to our church. Now I know our bishop stands firm on God's side and has never allowed politicians to bribe him with the so-called church maybe donations. Glory to God, Bishop. Pass it on to the incoming bishop. Judith sounds like perhaps is a member of CITAM for her to be talking like that. Well, I'll be taking questions also. If you have questions, I'm on the lookout for that. But Bishop, let me allow you to go right back to where you left it with the transformational leadership.
Thank you. We were we were actually looking at
Bishop,
some
you can
of
hear
the...
me?
I can hear you. You can't hear me? Hello? Yeah.
No, I can.
hear you.
I can. Hello. Go ahead, Bishop. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I was saying that one of the key characteristics of transformational leaders is that they are visionary. They are dreamers. So they create strategic vision, communicate it, and model it. And we were just at the point where we said that we were saying, when you said hang it right there, is we're talking about the role of the follower in in this whole process. So I was saying that if, for example, you are a church member and you can see things are going wrong, say the example we have been using this morning on how the pulpit or the platform, church platform, is being used, or would I say misused, by politicians, and your leader seems to be doing nothing about it. As a member, you have the responsibility and the mandate to approach your leader, and we have always said, with all respect, is not making noise at him or shouting at him or embarrassing him in public, but just going out and say, Pastor or Bishop, what happened in our church today was just not good. I wish there was a way in which we can manage such situations in a better way in the future, if it is something that it was just an incidental, so that you do not just also watch as a member when your organization is going in the wrong direction. That's why we say in transformational leadership, there are three, if I use three things that are transformed. If the leader is the first thing that is transformed,
Yes.
And how does the leader get transformed? By the impact that the members have on him or her. And part of that is the feedback that he or she gets out from the members, the lessons that they learn, because the leader is not a know-it-all. The fact that you are a leader doesn't mean you know everything. But as you interact with your members, you get to learn things, ways of doing things, better ways of doing things, handling situations. And you are, because you have that disposition of learning, you have that attitude of learning, you are able to learn then from your members. And in the process, you get transformed. The members also get transformed because the leader is focused also in helping the members get transformed. So the transformational leader is not just happy with leaving you where he or she found you, but in trying to see, how do I get this person to the next level? How do I make this person a better person? So we are going to look at that a little later in a bit more detail. So the member also gets transformed. But the reason the leader and the member came together was not for their individual growth that they can do in school. They came together to build the organization. They came together with the mandate to pursue the vision and mission of the organization for which they serve, in which they serve. And so jointly, therefore, they work towards transforming the organization. So the organization also gets transformed. So those are the three things, if I say, in transformational leadership, that then makes a complete cycle of transformation. The leader transforms the member transforms the leader, and both transform the organization. Exactly. So that is true transformational leadership. You see, in the transactional leadership, the leader is focused either in the achievement of the task, the transformation of the organization, or the realization of his or her ambitions, the transformation of the leader, and therefore uses the members to achieve both or either. And that's why it is transactional. So I will identify those people who are aligned to me and use them to bring about that transformation. That is the big difference between transactional leadership and transformational leadership. That both the leader, the member, and the organization is transformed. Now, transformational leaders, therefore, are very attentive to the needs and motives of their members. And they work towards helping them develop their potential. So if you are working with a team of members, you are looking at where each and every one of them is at, and you want to motivate them, to challenge them, to get them to be better people in their own right and better deliverers of the task that they have been given to perform within the organization. Some leaders have observed, some scholars have observed that without transformational leaders, organizations stagnate and eventually become seriously misaligned with their environment. And that is not too difficult to see, because if a leader is not given to transforming the organization and transforming the members of the organization, you can easily see why the organization will stagnate and eventually become misaligned or irrelevant, if we use a good word, irrelevant to the environment. So the reason that the transformational leader ensures that the organization does not become irrelevant to the environment is because of the dream that we were talking about. That this person constantly and consistently is scanning the environment to see where are things at. But it is not just scanning for the now, but you are also scanning for the future to see where are things going. Where is our community going? Where is the world going? Where is the industry within which we operate going? And try to get the organization there ahead of other people. So that is where the alignment of the organization with its environment becomes very critical, and the transformational leader has that responsibility to ensure that the organization is not misaligned, does not become irrelevant to its environment. And I think we talked a lot about that when we were dealing with the issues of innovation and creativity, that you could easily find yourself playing a game that no one is playing anymore. And that is what misalignment is all about. So what are some of the key characteristics of a transformational leader? One is that they are creative, innovative, creative, learning, looking at things and how things can be done differently. Very critical for transformational leaders. Number two is that they are interactive with their members, with their environment, with their leaders, with the key stakeholders, and that makes them able to place their organization in such a place that they can have greater impact and also be more successful and effective, being relevant to the environment within which they are. So a transformational leader is interactive. Visionary, we have already talked about. They are visionary. They see the future before it happens. They anticipate the future, and that is very critical. Especially the word anticipate is something that many of us as leaders sometimes don't take seriously. Anticipating the future means that you see the future before it happens. The sons of Issachar, knowing the times and knowing what needs to be done. So just knowing the times is not enough. You must also know what needs to be done. That is what the sons of Issachar had. They understood the times, but they also knew what should be done. They had answers. Number 4 is that the transactional leaders are empowering. All this I'm giving because we will look at them later in a little more detail. They are empowering. The people that work with them come out better than when they first met. So empowering, again, we'll look at it, but I've said, I've mentioned it earlier, that the leader must identify the people, their gifts, their talents, their passions, and so on, and help them to become better in those areas. But number 5 is that transformational leaders are passionate. If you are not passionate about who you are and what you believe in, people will not follow you. I can't remember which preacher, one of the great preachers, who said that a good preacher must be so much on fire that people want to run and help them from burning. You know, when you are on fire, people will come around you to try and help. So the passion of the leader should be such that it just draws people. It brings people around you because you are so much on fire. And this is what we also call charisma. That what you believe in, you communicate it with passion, with charisma. Whatever your hands find to do, you do it with all your heart. I still remember many years ago when I just joined the pastoral team, I was working as an administrator in the church. Maybe I've given this illustration here before. So I was the pastor for administration. And we were putting up our Sitam Woodley building. And as administrator, I was in charge of overseeing that the work is done and it's done well and on time and so on. Our pastor, senior pastor, now called Bishop, so I would say our bishop at the time was Pastor White, Dennis White. He was the leader of the church. So we worked very closely to ensure that this building was put up. And finally, it was done. So he came to me and told me, Brother David, we now need to organize how to move the people from the tent into the new building. We need to clean those chairs, have the chairs cleaned. We need to take them into the new building as we put in more new chairs. And we agreed with him. So I told him, I think we can do that next week on Wednesday, on Tuesday, so that Wednesday, when the members come for the prayer service, they will now move into their new building. So we agreed. Now, on Monday morning, because the church is actually in a school compound, the head teacher calls me and says, "Oh, Pastor David, what is happening? Pastor White is here and is washing the chairs and cleaning the tent and moving the chairs into the new building. Where are you?" I was shocked. I said, "No, but we agreed we'll do that tomorrow." He said, "No, he's here. He came in, drove in, and started washing the chairs by himself." And so people have been seeing and just joining in, and they are now washing the chairs and bringing down the tent, and they're taking into the building. So I got into the car. I was at Valley Road. I got into the car and drove to Woodley. And indeed, I found Pastor White busy washing the chairs, cleaning the tent. They had brought down the tent, and he was not talking with anyone. He was just doing it. I was in my brilliant suit and tie, But I had no otherwise but to join in.
Yes.
So I with my suit and tie and everything, I got into the washing of the chairs and the cleaning of the tent and taking the things into the new sanctuary, because my leader was on fire.
You had to help.
I had to help.
Yes, you had
I
to.
had to help. So it was after we finished that I now asked him, Pastor White, I thought we agreed that we will do this tomorrow. And I had actually planned to I'd organized to get people, hired people to come and help us with the cleaning of the place, bringing down the tent, taking the chairs into the building. So I said, I thought we agreed we'll do this tomorrow. I said, don't worry, Brother David. I just thought, this thing needs to be done. I would like to go and set this. The tent was going to go. We were just starting sit and Parklands. So the tent needs to go to Parklands, and I'm the one who knows how it is set up. So I needed to just have it cleaned up so that I can take it to Parklands.
Wow.
And the matter was finished. When a leader is on fire, the members have no otherwise but to jump in.
And help him.
And help him, and that's what passion does. So when you are a leader who believes in what you are doing, when you communicate with passion, when you do things with commitment, you draw naturally people around you to go likewise. They naturally join in what you are doing, and they feel excited about it. That's why you find that most cults are led by very passionate people. Even if they are wrong, they are passionate about their untruths. They are passionate about their wrong thing. Whether it is cults, even radical terrorist movement. Fundamentalists. They are led by charismatic leaders, people who are passionate about what they are doing. So they will tell you, blow up yourself. And people are willing to blow up themselves up. Why? Because the leader is passionate. The leader talks about this thing that he believes in or she believes in with such passion that even if you don't believe it, you think you are the one who is on the wrong. He must be right. I don't know whether you have met such people. You are sitting somewhere, they are telling you something, and you are thinking, I don't think that is true. But they are saying it with such conviction, passion, that you now begin to doubt what you yourself believes and think that perhaps you are the one who is not right. This person must know what he's talking about. And many people are led astray by that. Now imagine if that which you are talking about, that which you are so passionate about, was the right thing. People are now following you to do the right thing. The Bible tells us that Jesus, one of his characteristics, one of his attributes, was that he was a passionate teacher. And people acknowledge he doesn't speak like our scribes. He talks with such passion,
authority.
And with authority. So they would just gather around him to hear him, even those who didn't believe in what he was saying. They would just gather around him to hear him because he seemed to know what he was talking about. He seemed to believe what he was talking about. Some of it was contrary to what the people believed, especially the Pharisees. But they had no otherwise but to stand there and listen because of his passion. So a leader must be passionate about what they are doing, passionate about what they are saying. So let's just quickly go through these points once again. The first one is creativity.
The key characteristics?
Yes, those 5 key characteristics.
Just before you go through them, a question that came through our SMS line that I think is important before we analyze them. So you have said, the person says, Bishop, you have said transformative leadership is deliberate. Are the people then that use the model of leadership born that way? And would you have an example? The person wants an example of a governor in this country of 40-something counties. Can you think of a governor that to you looks like a transformational leader?
That's a difficult one, but let me first answer the first one.
Born or taught? Nature or nurture?
I actually answered that question when we began.
Yes.
I said that transformational leadership is deliberate. A person chooses to be a transformational leader. You are not born a transformational leader. So this is not trait leadership. Trait leadership is where you are born. So you are born with certain traits. You are born with certain gifts. You are born with certain talents, skills, abilities. Those are born, and so you are able to use them in your leadership. That is trait leadership. Transformational leadership is deliberate in that you choose to be a transformational leader, and then you learn how to be one. And that is why we are on this forum, to help our members to choose to be transformational leaders and to learn how to be one.
Okay.
Otherwise, if it was by birth, we just let people be.
Cindy, we wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't be here. It would be of no use, because why talk to you if you are an orange? Why try
if
to
you are
convince?
already born different.
We don't preach to oranges to become mangoes
or bananas.
or bananas. No, we take them as they come. A banana is a banana, orange is an orange, a dog is a dog.
In this country, those two fruits are a little bit political,
Oh, oranges and bananas.
Yes.
They used to be.
So you say that as an example of a governor in this country, you find that a tricky question.
It's not tricky because, but I would say, for example, not Bishop, Governor Kivutha Kibwana has actually been identified and appreciated as a transformational leader in his county. In fact, there was a whole conference that was held in his county where governors from different counties came to see the kind of things that he was doing in that county, the transformational agenda that he had that has really transformed his county. You don't hear much about him. You don't hear too many politics around him, but he has been recognized. I know that the diplomatic community, for example, which sponsored that conference, observed that he has transformed his people. He has transformed his county. He has taken very transformative steps to make his county to be one of the counties that people are learning from. And I have interacted with Governor Kibwana before he even became a governor. We served together for a long time. So I know that has been his passion to be a transformational and a transformative leader. So I was very happy to hear that he actually implemented some of the things that he was passionate about in his own county, without too much noise, without too much publicity, without too much anything. But other governors who are willing to actually go to see what he's doing. That is not usual in the political arena.
No, it's not.
It is not. So that's one person I would say. And again, the reason I was saying it is tricky is because I do not have information of all the governors. So even as I say that, it is well possible that there's a governor that is doing much better than Kivuda Kibwana. But of the ones that I have heard, that's a person I would point out.
All right. Interesting. Very interesting. Someone else says the politicians should attend church just like any other members. And one more from the SMS line. Bishop, is at the point that someone was saying, where are the fathers? Someone else wrote and said, Bishop, you are a father. Please speak. You have many children. Speak. We are listening.
That's
people.
what I've been doing for the last several years. As for being a father, yes, I'm a father of Joyce and Chris.
You know what we meant when we said fathers of faith?
Yes. I have tried to do what I can, maybe not as much as I should. But even this morning, I have talked to my fellow leaders. I don't know whether they're listening. We have talked with our members what we ought to do. I've talked with Kenyans in general what we ought to do. This country is going to succeed or fall because of what we do as Kenyans, what we were willing to tolerate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if we are willing to tolerate wickedness, evil, corruption, ethnic tensions and violence and hatred, that's what we are going to become. But if we choose not, then our leaders will discover that they cannot mobilize us like goats. But if we choose to be mobilized like goats, they are very happy. We go, we give them votes, and then they go and eat and leave us as hungry as we have ever been. That's what they mobilize us for. So I'm glad that some of my children are listening on this platform. So you have heard what
now
your father.
Now go and do what you have heard.
Quickly.
That's so funny. That is really, really funny. Just K is of the opinion that actually transformational leaders do not like too much publicity. What do you think? Is that a good observation? A true observation?
Yes and no. I don't know that they don't like too much publicity. I would put it the other way around. They don't seek publicity.
Quite different, yes.
Yeah. So publicity is good. If somebody were to put on the rooftops what I'm doing as a leader, and it could be of benefit to other people, why not? But I will not seek that publicity. I will not stand on the rooftop to shout. You know, Jesus, amazingly, one of the things that has confounded many biblical scholars and followers of Christ is that Jesus would do and perform a miracle on a person and then tell them not to go and say it.
I read that this morning.
You read that this morning?
Yes, I was actually thinking about it.
Yes. So he would say, don't say to anybody. Don't go and tell anybody. Now, I tell you, my brother, my sister, if I did the same miracle today, I would invite the media.
Of course.
To come and see what the Lord has done. The Lord will be just a byword. The real thing is what I have done.
Oh.
You know? And you see that all the time. We see it all the time. I mean, we don't have to name names, but Jesus tells the people, don't tell anybody what has happened. Only a few occasions he said, go and show yourself to the priest, because that was a requirement in the Jewish law. So he said, go and show yourself to the priest. But he doesn't tell them, go and tell everybody what the Lord has done for you. No. Because he does not seek attention. He was not seeking publicity. He was simply doing what the Father sent him to do. And with that, he was happy. But you know what? When you're a transformational leader, your fame goes before you. It goes ahead of you. So that by the time Jesus was coming into Jerusalem, everybody knew about him.
Yes.
And they gathered in their numbers to welcome him into Jerusalem. Did he have a team that went ahead of him to tell the people, behold, the king is coming? No. But they knew, and they were very happy to receive him. Hosanna in the highest.
Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Wow. Wow. One more question, and then we can go to the key characteristics of the transformational leader and see how much we can go. So one more is from Cecilia, current affairs again. And she's saying, I'm just wondering if the church that is the voice of God is actively playing its role with neutrality in these times of toxic relationships between the president and his deputy and their followers? Or will it be another 2007 in the making where the church was found to be partisan? She asks. The church leadership is too quiet. She's saying it is giving her a level of concern. I have paraphrased a little bit of that.
The church is doing what it's able to do. Let me put it this way. I normally say that when you look at the taking of the promised land under the leadership of Joshua, you will find that there are battles that they fought in the night, and there are battles that they fought in the day. And God gave them direction as to how to fight each battle. So,
Yes.
One of the things that has baffled or perplexed or concerned Kenyans is that there's a season in this country where the church leaders were very visible in their actions. That is what I call battle of the day. And the battle was fought in the day with church leaders, press conferences, demonstrations, and so on and so forth. That was very important for that time and on that occasion. The space where we are in today, whereas there are situations that may call for that approach, there is another approach that may be more relevant at this time, and which I call the battle in the night. Nobody sees it. They will only wake up and find that city has been taken, and they may not know how that city was taken. So some of us have chosen at this time to fight the battle of the night with our leadership on national issues. So you may not see us, you may not hear us, but we are not idle.
Okay.
We are doing something. So all I can say, pray with us that the initiatives and the efforts that we are making can bear fruit. I would say that many of the significant moves that we have seen in the country are a result of those night battles. But then we don't come out and say, you see, we are the ones who did this.
No, you shouldn't. We shouldn't do that.
Because it is not necessary. Our objective was not to get glory and fame. Our objective was to steer the nation in the right direction. And when that is achieved, it is good and it happens. So you may not hear us fighting the battle of the day, only once in a while when we think it is necessary. But we are doing a lot of battling in the night. And I believe God is helping us. So what I would ask our members and fellow Kenyans, pray for us as we fight these battles of the night.
Wow.
They are just as effective
as the battles in the day.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. That's profound. Thank you, Bishop. Yes. We go back to the characteristics of the transformational leader. So you had begun by saying number one was creativity.
I will not spend too much time on that because, as I said, we spent a whole series of sessions on innovation and creativity. Yes. So, but for the sake of those people who may have just joined us and do not know too much, I will mention one or two things on that, which I already started. Creativity is a key attribute of a transformational leader. Why, if you are going to transform, the very word transform implies change. It implies that something moves from one state to another.
Yes.
Yes. So you cannot be a transformative leader, a transformational leader, and you are happy with status quo. That is one thing that a transformational leader is never happy with. Status quo, where things remain as they are, world without end, amen. You are committed to making things work better, function better, look better, done better. The word better is a constant in your tongue and in your mind. So a transformational leader must demonstrate innovation and challenge the status quo. You are not happy with the way things are, not because they are necessarily bad, but because they must be made better. So you can't say, you can't move into an organization and you find this organization is doing well, and you simply settle down to maintain because it is doing well. In fact, that's the most challenging place to be as a leader. If today I'm appointed a leader of an organization that is doing well, the natural thing is to settle down and keep things going well. That is what we call a manager. Managers,
you came from being a leader at that point.
You have ceased to be a leader from that point. Managers maintain things. Managers ensure that things are working well.
Wow.
Not
very
leaders.
Yes.
So if I am appointed as a leader and I come into an organization that is already doing well, it is just a challenge to my creativity. It is a challenge to my innovative ideas. And so I have to look at the organization and ask myself, how can we make it better? We are doing well, but how can we make it better? If today I was appointed the CEO of Safaricom,
which is doing well.
Safaricom is not doing well. Safaricom is doing very well.
It is doing great. Yes.
is doing great in terms of profitability. So if I was to be appointed a leader of such an organization, the temptation is we are already making our billions. How do we ensure that our billions don't go down? But that is not transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is that if you are making 30 billions, how can we make 50? How can we do 100? But is profitability the only thing that we are called to do as an organization? Which other areas are we called to be engaged in, but we are not doing as well as profits? So those are questions that I would have to ask myself, because we could be doing very well in one area, but may have neglected or not doing very well in another area. And so as a leader, I want to see how do we grow as a holistic organization so that we are doing well in all the fronts that we set about to do. So a transformational leader is never happy with status quo, no matter how well the organization is doing. During our innovation, we talked about innovation series. We talked about if it is not broken, break it. You know,
so that then you can mend it.
Then you can mend it, or you can find that actually inside that which was looking so strong, there was a weakness. And you want to just make it better. So one characteristic of the transformational leader is creativity. Therefore, they are out-of-the-box thinkers. They are thinking how else things can be done, thinking about things that have never been done and how they can be introduced and done. And so Steve Covey says that if you want just minor changes, then make incremental changes and improvements on work, on practices, on behavior, on attitude. If you are happy with just minor changes. But if you want to make significant quantum improvement, then you work on paradigms. This is what we call shifting the paradigm. And paradigm shifts. Paradigm is a very stable component of anything, whether it is of thought, of ways of doing things, and so on. This is what we can also call culture. Ways of, they are usually very stable. They are the things that hold an organization together. They are the things that hold a family together. They're the things. So those are paradigms, the way we do things. Now, you are being asked that if you are going to be a transformational leader, according to Steve Covey, then you must work on shifting those paradigms. Now you are talking.
It's shifting paradigms is like what Corona
has done for us. Who knew that we would be where we are, the world be where we are? Corona has shifted paradigms so that things that we might never imagine could shift have been shifted. You know?
Let's leave it there. I am told my time is completely up. I was trying to see whether I can get 2 more minutes for us to continue. But Bishop, thank you. We look forward to Monday. We look forward to next Monday when we can pick up the number 2 of being interactive with the people, with the stakeholders of the organization as a key characteristic of a transformational leader. We are here every Monday with Bishop of Christ is the Answer Ministries, Bishop David Oginde, helping us understand matters to do with leadership. We call it the Leadership Forum, and we are greatly happy and encouraged by all your comments, your questions. So we will be back on Monday. Right now, time to catch up with the news at 1:00 if you're listening to us at Hope FM Radio. I'm on Boimboro. Have a blessed week ahead.
Did you know the Friends of Hope is an initiative of Hope Media? Through this initiative, we are able to partner with others who are keen to ensure that we keep hope alive. Through your support, we are sharing the hope we have with many others who are yet to embrace hope. You too can become a part of this initiative today. Send your contribution of any amount to M-Pesa paybill number 933933. Account name Friends of Hope. For more information regarding Friends of Hope, please email friendsofhope@hopefm.org or SMS FOH to 20933. Join Friends of Hope today. Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive. Another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries.